Could you please say your name loudly and clearly for the camera?
Kanan Shakib.
So who do you think put the hole in the wall?
Julian.
Everyone says it's Julian.
Julian put the hole in the wall.
Julian Augusto Leicester.
I might have to say Julian.
And why do you think it was Julian? And why do you think it was Julian?
Most of that night, everyone was just doing their own thing, their wars. But he always just stuck out. The way he moves, the way he just reacts, it's just not human-like.
Julian has a history of being very apish, and it kind of just seemed right to blame it on the person we'd most suspect to be acting very rambunctious and apish.
It's just because he's just an ape,
Throughout the whole night, everyone was going crazy. But I do particularly remember Julian being a little extra wild.
Julian is known to be a very aggressive person. Usually when stuff like this happens, he's the first person I think of. It may have been an accident, but I think that any one of us in Clown, we each would have known if something like that happened, even if it was an accident. But for Julian, some doesn't feel right.
There may or may not be evidence or memories of Julian throwing the chair or deflecting the chair after it was thrown by Ben Margalit.
If I had to guess based on, everyone's personality, who goes ape, I might have to say Julian.
Well, everyone thinks the person who put the hole in the wall was Julian, with the only evidence being that he's a f***ing ape. As Ben would say,
that's ass.
But in all seriousness, I need to go over a few things. First of all, Sean was in the basement that night. He is actually seen here in this video, in the bottom left-hand corner of the basement. Second, Chirag, Maury, and Kyle were all in these positions. Generally speaking, this is the updated diagram for the room. You can see that Sean moved from the left side of the ping pong table to the right side of the ping pong table during the war. Ben also moved from behind the ping pong table to under the practice net in the middle of the room during the war. This can also be seen from this picture. Monis also mentions how the practice net was there in the room, but we'll get back to that later. Third, before the interview began, the group found out that somebody's foot was actually seen right here in this video. And upon further analysis, it's clear that it's actually Chirag's foot because Chirag is the only person who owns that pair of sock. Everyone else generally stayed in these positions. Julian did move during the war, but he only stayed on the right side of the room. Now that I've cleared those things up, let's go over why people said that Julian was the one who put the hole in the wall.
He's known to be a very aggressive person. Usually when stuff like this happens, he's the first person I think of.
Throughout the whole night, everyone was going crazy. But I do particularly remember Julian being a little extra wild. I remember him pushing the chair one time. And just going really hard with it.
Between calling Julian an ape and these two clips, the general consensus is that Julian is the most likely candidate to make a hole in the wall because he is the craziest. Although, Chirag brings up a pretty good point.
Everyone says it's Julian, but there's no actual evidence of that. I say it's Julian, as a joke, but we don't know.
If people are calling Julian an ape as a joke, it's not really fair to blame him for the hole if the majority of the evidence against him isn't serious. But at the same time, because both Ben and Rohit remember Julian being aggressive without calling him an ape, I can't rule him out. Instead of asking who made the hole in the wall, let's ask what made the hole in the wall.
I remember him pushing the chair.
I think it was probably the chair.
To be honest, I think it was the chair that we kept sliding around.
It was like a big moving object.
I don't think someone would go in and punch the wall with their hands because that would be a little too obvious.
All I know for fact is Ben Margalit threw the chair at one point. For what I remember, Julian either threw it again or deflected it towards the wall.
But the chair we kept pushing around, and someone definitely could have flung that chair into the wall and made some type of hole there.
Ben has also confessed that he threw the chair.
Okay, so a lot of people think that the chair made the hole in the wall. But was it actually the chair? Let's take a look at that.
We were actually just looking at the hole inside, and it looks a little too big to be made by the chair. One thing that maybe we should look at is the dimensions of the chair. Like, you have to see, like, if it were the chair, what part of the chair would that have been? So if you found that chair, that'd be pretty clutch.
Luckily, I had already looked into the chair before the interview started. So let's take a look at the chair from the video. We have a clear view of the chair right here. Can you spot what makes this chair unique? I'll give you a few seconds. Time's up. The answer is the 4 buttons on the chair. Between the shape of the chair's arms and the 4 buttons, I was able to narrow down which chair it actually was. The name of the chair is the Boss High Back Leather Plus chair. You can see it here on Boss's website. While Puck has the non-chrome based model, I'm going to be using the pictures from the chrome based model because it offers better pictures for analysis. The website also offers the dimensions of the chair and how it adjusts for the height. Here's a diagram I made based off the product dimensions from the website. As we can see, the back top of the chair is 49 inches tall, the arms of the chair are 29 inches tall, and the seat of the chair is 23.5 inches tall. Now if we take our standard mattress at 38 inches, and we compare it to the photo of the hole itself, we can estimate the middle of the hole being about 38 inches tall. And because the hole is actually larger than that, I'm going to estimate the hole being between 42 inches tall and 36 inches tall. So it's obvious from the picture that the arms of the chair and the seat of the chair were not tall enough to make the hole in the wall. The top back of the chair is also too tall to make the hole in the wall, even if it was adjusted lower to 45.5 inches. So the only other option is the back middle of the chair. But if we take a look at the hole itself, we can see that there's a dent in the middle with a crack above and below the hole. The top middle part of the chair does not stick out enough to make a small dent in the middle, while still making a crack on the bottom and top of the hole. Therefore, I'm going to rule out the top middle of the chair, which in return rules out the entire chair from making the hole in the wall. You think the chair put the hole in the wall?
Yes.